You're listening to Funny Peculiar with Jeff Downs.
This is the last episode of the Funny Peculiar podcast. A big thank you for everybody that's listened and downloaded the show. Keep listening, it will be on iTunes. I'm going to be back with something new, I don't know. But anyway, we're going to finish with the wonderful, the extravagant, the beautiful Lucy Lush. Strap in, it's a great interview. This one, because I've got virtually a historian, a lexicographer on the drag scene that goes. But first of all, let's say hello to Lucy Lush.
Hello, my darling. How are you? We've finally got together. We've been since Sparkle. They've tried to get together, but it's just been been busy.
And we have.
Strutting our stage in 6-inch heels.
Exactly. Yes. And I would say, I'll give you a proper introduction because it's Lucy Lush, but gender eccentric. And I love that because there is lots of different terms, and drag queen's always the sort of bolt-on one that you do. But I love, where did that come from?
It come from a while ago. One of my closest friends, Helen, we're sitting out for a meal with her, and we were just chatting about drag and about the history of drag and things like that, and she said, well, I don't see you as a drag artist, Lucy, I see you as gender eccentric. And I thought I kind of like that because I like my freaky looks, and I've done my freaky looks for a lot of years. See, when I'm on stage, it's Lucy Lush. When I've got the wig on, that's Lucy Lush. But without the wig, when my weekend's up, I'm doing interviews and I'm doing my band Gendertronic and things like that. That's Lush. So
right. So you've got lots of different facets.
So with the wig on, I'm Lucy Lush. Without the wig, I'm just Lush.
You're just Lush. And you're gorgeous.
Yeah. Well, you say that to all the queens, I've heard
you. And I say fantastic a lot. So I'm trying to podcast quality. I'm trying to, and I have to think of other. But anyway. Right. That's anyway. So it's something that, and again, when I first came to Manchester, and we'll talk about Fufu Lamar later, Lamar's, because this is one of the sort of not original queens, but one of the big queens that surfaced from Manchester, sort of late 70s, early 80s, something like that. But where did your sort of journey begin in drag, or whatever it was back then, and how would you term it? Have you always done drag?
Well, no. Well, my journey started because I come from a little small town called Barrow-in-Furness.
Right, okay.
Right, and what happened in Barrow was it was very homophobic. It was a horrible place at the time. Yeah. You know, I mean, my parents stuck me in a mental hospital to try and find out if I was queer.
Really?
Yeah.
That was, and you hear stories about that actually happened.
Yeah, actually happened.
Oh my! They do tests to see.
All tests, all sorts to find if I was queer and why I was running away. I was running away because my father hated the fact that I was effeminate. Yeah. I can't think why. I mean, you know, but.
That was. And how did you sort of? How old were you when this was?
Well, I was 14-year-old, and what happened was I was there for 7 months in this place. Right. I pretended I was straight.
Right. Okay.
I got friendly with a girl that was there that sang opera. Yeah. So we were singing and doing Andrew Lloyd Webber sets and you name it, all sorts together, and Phantom of the Opera together. So I got the girlfriend. So I pretended that. So they ended up letting me out, but I planned every move meticulously. Right. I knew that I had to get away, but when I'd run away before, I'd been taken back. I thought, this time I'm not going to.
Right, okay. And when you're in the mental hospital, and this was doctors assessing you. Yeah. Really? This is
mild electric shock treatment. And things like that, and whatever it was. But at the end of the day, it's made me who I am, and I think that it gave me that confidence I needed. Yeah. And I taught myself how to do my makeup for my Boy George albums, all sorts like that at the time, so and this was literally toned down, and then.
And it was, and so you, so after a while you plotted escape. That once you are released, and was it kind of lock and key? You had to have a signature to get, really.
Yeah, it was a horrible experience, because how it started was my mum and dad my mum took me to see this psychologist. Yeah. And at the time, the psychologist was throwing cigarette boxes at me, right? And then because I couldn't catch him, he said, he must be a homosexual because he can't catch, right? That was that at the time. Way. But my words to him were, well, you're throwing cigarette boxes at me. That's to me saying I should smoke.
Yes, yeah,
You know?
quite,
No,
yeah.
I mean, then after a little while, he said, "Oh, if you go out and I'll speak to, and so I can speak to your mother." And then nothing was said. Then a few weeks later, I had this thing where I had to come down to Manchester Press, which had a lesson unit at the time. And,
Right, okay.
You know.
And then once you got out, you were like, and you had the sort of relationship with that girl, made out with the relationship, and then it was like, that's it, I'm going to Manchester.
I knew I had to get away. I knew I had to get away. So I went shopping for old people. I went cleaning cars. I went washing windows. You name it. Getting money together, and I got like £60 together, which is a friggin' lot of money in the 80s.
Yeah.
Hell of a lot of money. So
and got a coach or whatever.
Well, no. What I did first was I went out shopping. I got a dress,
right?
Because I had fairly long hair, so I got a dress. I got bleach,
right,
to bleach my hair.
Right. Okay.
I got makeup, everything like that. I was literally learning from my Boy George albums, the works, you know, and just toning it down. And then my mum and dad went out, and I prayed that my dad wouldn't come in, drunk and start punching me.
Right.
So
and he's done that. He'd done
that many times. Yeah. So I bleached my hair blonde. Right then. And for days I'd wore the same hat, the same jeans, the same jacket, and said, "Oh, Mum, can you wash this? I really like this." So that they knew I'd be leaving.
Yes.
In their eyes, I was leaving with these clothes because he liked these jeans, he liked this jacket, he liked this cap.
Yeah.
So that's what. So then, early hours of the morning when I could hear my dad snoring, I creeped out, went to Barrow-in-Furness train station. Yeah. Made up in the toilets. I looked like a slightly heavily made up teenage girl at the time because I was young. We were young. When we're young, we look amazing. We do. It's harder work, more polyfiller when we're a bit older.
Absolutely, it does go on, doesn't it?
Yeah. So man, but then I bought an adult ticket for the train, so that if I'd have bought a child's ticket, it might have registered when they were looking for me. So lo and behold, I did that. Then got on the train, came to Manchester,
and never looked back.
And well, I lived rough for about 5-6 weeks.
Really,
you know, and Piccadilly.
Fucking hell.
You know, so but then I found the gay area, and of course,
and now for people that are listening, and I'll put all your bio on my website that goes up on the podcast, and you're on Instagram as well.
I am,
and you're on Facebook. So it's all Lucy Lush, isn't it?
Yeah.
So check Lucy.
The real Lucy Lush on Twitter.
Wonderful. Right. So I'll do a shout out at the end as well. So look for Lucy. Go and see her. Tag her. Say hello.
Yeah.
And and we're in Veer, Bar. So thank you to Veer today, the wonderful Veer and Mike that runs a great show here, and they have lots of drag acts here in Veer.
Yeah.
And this is one of the main bars on Canal Street, but this is 2018, but back in the late 80s.
This didn't exist.
What did Canal Street look like, and was it the gay area or not?
Well, no, it was. In some ways, I would say it was a better community. It was because we were fighting for a cause then in one way. And I mean, you had Number One Club, which was actually outside of the village. It was actually near St Anne's Square kind of area.
Right.
All right. So you had Number One Club. You had Napoleon's here. You had New York, the Union. Paddy's, which is Paddy's Goose, which isn't just known as the Goose now. But of course, then you also had over the road, you had High Society.
Okay.
Right. So and also on Oldham Street was Dickens.
Right. Okay.
So which Dickens was. You stuck to the floor, everything like that, but it was a fabulous venue.
It was.
Yeah, it was. So, but
and a lot of the older queens that I talked to, and the older gay people, they loved when it was almost an undiscovered. It was your community. It was your private party almost, and it was. I'd say what I can gauge is when Queer as Folk was written in Channel 4 96, that it kind of signalled to everybody there's this great place, and then you had sort of an influx.
Well, you did. As much as Queer as Folk. Now, Queer as Folk I think was brilliant.
Yeah.
Very well done, very well written. I think one of the most fantastic things we've had in a long time. But it opened the doors to to the not nice side
Yes.
of. I mean, in one sense, we're to blame because we brought our friends down, and then they told their friends, and they told their friends, but then when Queer as Folk kind of happened, it opened the doors more then, and all the influx of people, and I kind of find it not a major safe haven anymore,
Right,
as
okay.
it was.
Yes.
You know, before it was our safe haven,
Yeah.
and everybody stuck up for each other,
Yeah.
and it was because we had our in them days our marches,
Right.
You know, were about.
And it was a protest
Yeah,
march,
yeah.
wasn't it? And I think again, there's with the Pride March that's gone today, it's a celebration.
Yeah, definitely.
But which is all great, positive. But then it really was a struggle.
It was,
wasn't
but then of course, you know, I mean, see, we were illegal then because Clause 28 laws were still out,
Yeah.
so we were all illegal.
Yeah.
So we would have police hits punching us, we would have people throwing bottles at us, all sorts. And if we reacted
Yes.
to a policeman or whatever punching us at the time,
Yeah.
right, it would have been called a protest. So we were all told,
Yeah.
walk. No matter what happens, no matter what's said, no matter what happens to you, walk.
Yes.
Do not engage anything, because
Yeah.
the fact is then it's classed as a protest, and we didn't want that, because it was about marching for
And
rights.
was that clause 28? Was that
Yeah.
what it was about?
Well, there was all that, but there was all the fact of the Equality Act,
Sure.
which really at the end of the day, the Equality Act was only set up for the basic fact that the elite were being blackmailed, so
Right, okay.
the top politicians were being blackmailed and stuff like that. So they wanted to cover them, and that was one of the reasons why that was. But then, you know, they still found ways to arrest,
Sure.
where they had policemen, good-looking policemen, going to public toilets and arresting people,
Right, yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and pretending they were, and then.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There was a lot
Yeah.
of honeypot stings,
Yeah,
stuff like
a
that.
heck of a lot. So that,
Okay. Well, let's go back
Yeah.
to there's this young Lucy Lush. So you've disguised yourself as a woman.
Yeah.
Got on the train, got out of Paris,
Yeah.
hit Manchester. So you've lived rough for 5 or 6
Yeah.
weeks, and then you started to find your feet and live. And then when did the sort of drag element? I mean, how long was it before you even started to do drag? Or you?
Well, I was still making up and whatever, because I didn't want to be seen. I didn't want anybody to recognise me.
Yeah.
So then I found out about Napoleon's. So
Right.
I went to Napoleon's, and of course then they had a talent night on.
And just to say, Napoleon's, for people that are listening, and this is global. So I've got to the podcast.
Yeah.
So now Napoleon's was, and when I first came to Canal Street, it was tranny central for me.
I'll say different then.
No, that's fine.
I'll say. The tranny thing was said in the 80s.
Right, okay.
I much prefer it to be called the T-girl place.
Fine,
now.
fine.
It was. I mean, I got called tranny. Everybody called tranny
yeah.
in the 80s from idiots. But
Yeah.
it's nice to say now T-girls
T-girl,
is
fine.
much nicer.
That-
But it was the bar. It was because it had darkened windows, everything.
Yes.
You had top politicians going in there dragged up where nothing was said.
Really?
Everything.
Really?
You name it.
I must admit, I went to a club years ago, Ron Storms, a drag queen from London.
Yeah.
And I've still got, bless him, he's passed away now, Ron,
Yeah.
but I wrote to him in the sort of mid-90s saying, I've never been to a club before. He wrote back. I mean, this is before
Right.
texting and stuff.
Yeah.
He wrote a letter back and he greeted me when I went there. And it
Right.
was so nice. And there was a Labour MP in there. There you go. So how old were you when you were going to Napoleon's?
I was still 15.
So you're 3 years off.
Yeah.
Or
What
was the law? 16?
It was 21.
Was it 21?
21, yeah. So I was 6 years away.
So you were 6 years away of having to live undercover. Tell us about Napoleon's when you were going there.
I entered the talent competition there, and I always knew I could sing anyway, so I sang, and I originally sang Boy George Victims.
Ah, right.
My first song, which I wrote, which I sang.
Yeah.
Then I got asked to go back and
Yeah.
again. And then I did a few of the various different
And would
songs.
you be paid? Would you get?
Well, no. I got asked to go back for the competition again.
Yeah,
then
yeah,
I won
sure.
the competition and got asked
Right.
then
Wow.
to work there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. They didn't know how old I was.
Right, okay.
Right, so I mean, as far as because I was in makeup, so they didn't know that I was underage.
And young girls, when they wear makeup, look older. So of course you looked a 18-year-old girl or whatever.
Yeah,
Wow,
definitely.
wow.
I looked quite a lot older.
Yeah.
So it was then, but then getting £30 a night in the it was a lot of money.
That is.
It was.
Yeah.
So then I met Dixie Diamond there and the fabulous Terry Fox.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
And so Dixie Diamond was.
Dixie Diamond and Terry Fox were two drag queens there.
Right.
I ended up living with Dixie Diamond at a place.
Okay.
You
And
know.
so she took you in.
Yeah.
And did you reveal to Dixie?
Yeah,
actually
Dixie.
all what had been going on?
Yeah,
And,
Dixie knew.
and she
but-
took you in.
Yeah, but we didn't. Nothing was said. We never told Anne. We never told Anne and Melvin from Napoleon.
Yes.
The work.
It
so,
all had to keep.
yeah.
And of course. And were you? So when you were working in the bar, did you assume a new name then? Were you just Lucy Lush?
I was Luscious Lucy
Luscious
in
Lucy.
them days. I
Right,
was
okay.
Luscious Lucy.
Right. Okay.
So that was what I called myself.
Sure. And had you heard, or were you sort of? Were any friends back home you could phone and say, "Are they looking for me?" You just didn't even.
No. I saw the Crown Watch reconstruction done on me. So.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Really?
There was a Crown Watch reconstruction done on me and things like that. So.
Okay. And did you watch that?
I did. I watched
Really?
it.
How
yeah.
did that feel?
But it was. I still was not going to go back at that point. It was because they had me leaving with the cap on, the ponytail at the back, the grey jacket that I had, and the jeans and trainers. They had me leaving as that, which I'd set the seeds for weeks.
Yeah.
Mum, I really like these trousers. I really like this. Can you watch this? So I set them seeds.
Brilliant.
He really liked this. I knew exactly what I wanted to do.
So of course, they had no idea.
Yeah.
So no one was looking for a woman, basically.
No.
Or someone.
Yeah.
It was. So you set the pattern up, the passport photo, as it were, of this guy with.
And of course, the voice changed because I literally spoke like this all the time. So,
right,
so of course, my voice would not have been revealed in any way, shape, or form. And I looked so convincing then anyway.
Yeah.
Apart from when I had. Excuse me. Apart from when I had the OTT makeup on for doing the cabaret.
And that you would only then go, and when you leave the house, you would only be.
Yeah, I would be.
Luscious Lucy, as it were.
Yeah, I would be in Slap. That would be it.
All the time. So this is all going on. And so you're developing your act.
Yeah.
So and you're singing these, and you're getting your influences from Boy George.
Yeah.
How did it then develop after that? Were you then?
Well, no. I met the fabulous Lee Starr. I met.
And Lee Starr is which band was it? Was
no. Well, Lee Starr is one of the famous drag queens of Manchester.
Right. So,
so he now works in Umbar as well.
Right. Okay. And these are all the.
Yeah.
And I'll try and investigate all of these and put a picture together of the scene because is Lee still around?
He is. He does Via. He's still around at Via. He's a legend. Is Lee Starr. He's been around for a heck of a long time.
I feel like I should get him on the podcast.
You must.
So okay, so you're learning your trade off, Lee's a contemporary, I take it.
Yeah.
So you're both learning together. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. We literally, and of course you have Pussy Galore, which is still around. She don't really perform much anymore. Pussy Galore, Sister Slim. Yeah, Guyman Lil, who God rest her soul.
Yeah.
Bunny Lewis. Another one, God rest her soul.
And Fufu Lamar.
Yeah, and Fufu Lamar
was one of the most notable.
Yeah.
Who was
Well, do you see? In some ways,
why did she sort of stick?
Because Fu ended up getting her own club, which was Fufu's Palace,
right? Okay.
Which had a TV show. The TV show was around Fufu's Palace and things like that as well.
Really? There was a television program?
a television show at Fufu's Palace.
No way.
So but you see, before that, you had Bunny Lewis, you had. Karen Lodge, you had Ava.
Right.
Ava was one of the first transsexuals in Manchester.
Oh, really?
So,
right, okay.
And of course, God, you had Dame Gracie.
Okay.
You had all of them. They were around before.
And we're talking mid 80s, early 80s,
well, no, well, they
70s.
They were around in the 60s.
Right.
In the 60s, when basically what they do is they had to literally put a cap on, hoodie, the works, run up the street, because if they were seen in makeup, they got arrested.
Really?
Yeah. So and also the law. Right up to 1995, there was still a law there was still a law that that if you had women's underwear on underneath your clothing, then you were arrested basically for the Indecency Act, right? But if you were dressed in makeup and you didn't have women's underwear underneath, then they couldn't arrest you for that. They could just arrest you for being queer.
Really? Even though you could say, well, this is an act, this is a character, this is a show, but they could do you.
They could still do you for,
bloody hell. So it was, and so when you then became, I know you got to 21.
Well, there's a lot that happened before 21.
No, before. Yeah. So what was happening then?
Before 20. I mean, basically, I did because I ended up going off to Europe. So I ended up going off to. I initially got asked to go out to Paris and work at Madame Pompadour's in Paris.
This is a big drag club, right? Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, in the meantime, sorry, I've skipped to it forward. Before that, I got. My parents knew somebody that lived in Manchester and whatever because they found out that because what I did was I signed on.
Right. Okay.
Right? So at 17 years old, I signed on, and then then what happened was the police. Then it come up that.
Of course,
my name,
you were flagged up.
Everything. So the police, I then had the police come and see me at my place, and because I was 17-year-old, they couldn't take me back.
Right. Okay.
Right. And I said to them, I did not want them to know, my parents or anybody to know where I was.
Yeah.
I said that was it, and they said that's fine.
Did they respect that?
They respected that.
Okay, that's something. Okay.
So, but then of course. My parents knew somebody who lived in Manchester. Right. So, and she was seeing a policeman. So they actually got to her and asked her to do a check on me and found out where I was.
Really? Really? Bloody hell. So that's major breach of confidential.
Yeah, definitely. So, but then they never they come to my house where I was,
Your
but
parents?
every time, not when my mum, my sister and my brother.
Really?
Yeah. And I never I was never in when they come, which I was quite pleased about.
Yeah.
So, but then I got a letter through the door saying to call them. So I called them.
And this was your brother, to call your brother or sister or your mum?
My brother, my sister, and my mum. So I went up there, and I kind of once they knew where I was, they didn't like that.
Yes.
So that's why when I got this offer to go out to Paris.
Right.
And work at Madame Pompadour's.
Sure. It was another way of disappearing, getting away.
Definitely. Sure. And of course, in those days, you could just go into the post office and get a year passport.
Yeah, right.
So you don't have the rigmarole you have now.
Right.
You could go in the post office, fill out the form, give them your birth certificate details, all sorts like that, and you got the year passport.
Right, and that was it.
Yeah.
Okay. And you've got a brother and sister as well.
Yeah.
And are they older or younger?
They're older.
They're older. And what was their reaction to what you had done, and do you still keep in contact with them?
Well, that's my brother and my sister. They're wonderful. I'm very close to my brother, and I'm very close to my sister. But my parents are not nice people.
Sure. No, fair enough.
Yeah.
So anyway, so you got away from, and you went to Paris. And you were working at
working at Madame Pompadour's in Paris.
And what was that like?
That was a fabulous drag bar. It was
it more liberal over there with the French?
Oh God, it always has been in France. So it always has been. I mean, gosh, our Oscar Wilde went to France because you name it. What I mean, and all the legends of that time all went to France. It was an amazing experience, and it was an eye opener.
Yeah, and in what particular was a particular act that you saw that went? Wow.
They were all brilliant. I mean, they were primarily mime,
right?
And I kind of like to sing. Mainly, occasionally I'll do mime numbers. It's one of them things, but I do love to sing live mainly. But with that, I kind of got a few of the acts singing. Although they weren't brilliant, I got them singing and things like that.
So was the French drag scene, that was more mime and presenting, almost lip syncing, would you say? And you got them singing.
I got quite a few of them singing.
Really? Okay. And what were you singing at that? What song?
I ended up singing French songs and things like that as well, which I quite loved.
Yeah.
Which I quite loved, and of course, I've always been a huge Liza fan, so
Right, okay.
I kind of and it went down a storm there.
Oh right,
you know.
they love that because every performer has a particular singer, or so Liza Minnelli for you was
one of my well, Liza and Bette Midler and
right, okay.
things like that were kind of like my things, but Liza kind of went down better.
Yes,
better there. I mean, Madame Pompadour's was fabulous because it was like a small dinner theatre kind of place. It was brilliant, and you know, not a humongous stage, but worked right.
And this was, and what year was this roughly?
Gosh, this was
1989. So it's like, so it's it's a while ago. I was
2 or 3 years ago.
2 or 3 years ago now. So, and have you got any pictures of you?
I did have, but my ex-partner burnt a big stack of them. I found some very recently of me at 17, 18, 19 years old, whatever. When I was here, I found some of them.
As Luscious Lucy.
Yeah,
oh wow.
Yeah,
any on Instagram or Facebook?
There is, yes.
I will go. Straight after this interview, I'm going to go home.
I'll show you them.
Yes,
I'll show you them before I go.
And if you're listening, check out Luscious Lucy. So it's like,
but not Lucy Lush now.
Lucy Lush.
Yeah,
that was it. And so you're in France.
France.
You're working the drag bar.
Then I got asked to go to Germany.
Oh right, okay.
Right, so which then I did Tim's in Cologne.
Right, okay.
Right,
and
which again is a drag bar.
Yeah.
It was a brilliant little place. So I thoroughly enjoyed doing that. So did Tim's in Cologne.
And at this point as well, so you're doing sets, I take it. So
Yeah.
how long would those sets be?
Well, yeah, you had. I mean, it was basically two numbers. So me doing 2 numbers, another person doing 2 numbers, various things like that. Occasional ensemble sets which we'd do together. You know, where we'd all do.
So a show would start at sort of 8 o'clock, and then you would go on. No compare. You just go straight on, do
definitely.
2 numbers. The next drag queen would do 2 numbers.
Yeah.
You come back on and do 2 numbers.
Yeah.
She would then do 2 numbers, and that was the show, was it?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Then there was a break for an hour, 2 hours, and then it's repeated.
Break, and then various.
And it's interesting. It's different now. How it's more 45-minute, an hour set, break, an hour. So it's different. It's really interesting how shows develop. And
definitely, I kind of found that better. In some ways, it was brilliant because, and that's kind of what they did all around Europe. Because I then I think loved working there. I then got asked to go and do the Winter Garden, which was in Dusseldorf.
Right. Okay.
So which is like sister company to Tim's. So
and Dusseldorf and these and Tim's was in Cologne.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, well, this is not Berlin. This is not Bohemia. No. This is industrial working class town. But they would have drag.
But they had drag there. And
was the gay movement slightly more ahead of its time?
Well, it was. I mean, you had. You know,
did you feel safer?
I never ever once got any hassle.
Really?
I mean, I was wearing some scary guises. Oh my, was I?
I was going to say, what was your look then?
Yeah, I was experimental, so of course, and the great thing about Europe is it was extremely experimental. So, but of course, you see it all now in the RuPaul's Drag Race kind of looks and things like that. But I was doing that. I was doing all that kind of stuff at the time, so it was kind of just freaky kind of looks.
And what? Just different jackets, outfits, dresses.
Yeah, definitely, and of course, learning to sew. I think any artist out there, I mean. Learn to sew, learn to use a sewing machine.
Yeah.
Things because it's important because you can literally create your own look, and I think that's what's important about becoming you.
Yeah.
I mean, I will safely say I'm terrible at styling wigs, but I'm fabulous at making costumes.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I've seen some of them. Unbelievable. So those are all handmade by yourself?
Yeah. Well, or I'll buy something. I'll see something in a charity shop and think, oh, well, I like that. Oh, I'm going to adapt and change that.
But no eBay. No Amazon. You had to make it yourself.
Yeah, definitely. So it's always been a case of just, and if you can create, just create, or just buy some simple number and add and make it spectacular.
And where were you getting your makeup from? Was it you just going into the department store?
Yeah, just going to the department store. Of course, here in England, you had Constance Carroll.
And who was Constance?
Yeah, Constance Carroll was the foundation and makeup of the day.
I thought it was the woman working behind the camera.
No, it was
Constance Carroll.
Oh,
really?
Yeah, right. Constance Carroll eyeliner, Constance Carroll. You know what I mean?
That was the one that the drag performers.
It was, yeah. I mean, and of course we used talcum powder to.
Oh, really?
Instead of finishing powder.
Oh my lord! Yeah, so it's like I must admit, I have a. I can't. What is it? It comes in a red tub. It's
the finishing powder.
That's it. The finishing powder.
See, I still prefer to use talcum powder.
Really,
I do. It's one of them things. I tried using the finishing powder, and it doesn't work for me. It can't. I mean, but.
Then would you pluck your eyebrows back then, or just...
Well, no, I never have, because I've always been fair.
So
I've always covered my eyebrows and whatever. So I've always been fair. So of course it was use a Pritt stick.
Really? Would just, and that would cover it up.
So Pritt stick, you cover that up, and then you put let that slightly dry. Get the hair dry for that to dry.
Yeah.
And then you put the foundation on top of that, and your eyebrows were gone.
And that was it.
That was it. That was what we used. We did none of the wax stuff that we have now, which is so expensive.
Yes, it is. It is. And I suppose in your situation, in quite a punk way, it was make do and men with whatever you could
definitely.
Get. And so you're in Dusseldorf.
Yeah, Dusseldorf.
And you're in what was the name of the club?
Which was the Winter Gardens in
Winter
Dusseldorf.
Gardens. That's it. Yeah.
Winter Gardens. It was called there. English Winter Gardens, but Winter Gardens.
And what's the German drag queens like? What was it?
Yeah, they were fabulous. I mean, you had, the Winter Garden was amazing. You had these sensational drag queens doing everything from Cher to you name it at the time.
Okay.
They were doing Whitney, they were doing all sorts. They were miming, but they looked amazing. They were brilliant.
Yeah.
It was absolutely fantastic.
Wonderful. And then did you find your act developing? Songs
definitely.
coming in. What were you singing?
Well, I mean, I was singing. I was doing German songs. I was singing all sorts like that. I was because I can't speak a word of German.
And this was. And who was managing these bars then? These were
you had
the local bar owners, and they were all cool with it.
And they were. I mean, you had various different people, and it was just a plethora of fabulousness, shall I say.
Yes,
it was,
and also a chance for German gay men to go to and feel safe in that situation. And then how long was that for? And when did you return to England?
Well, no, I ended up going on to Hamburg.
Oh my lord!
To Meine Herren.
And this was all in the year's passport, was it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so Meine Herren.
And was it just a case you get to one drag bar, you work?
Yeah, I do. I work. I got asked to go there and there and there, and I did.
Keep getting asked. Yeah. Right. And what was Hamburg like?
Oh gosh.
That's quite a famous Reeperbahn, isn't it?
Yeah. It's just fabulous. Yeah. I did Hamburg and Berlin.
Right.
So
okay.
I'll cut things a bit short. I did Hamburg and Berlin. I did Meine Herrens in Berlin. And the Meine Herrens in Hamburg.
Yeah.
So they were like the drag bars of the time. It was like, and it was very avant-garde drag, which is what I loved about Berlin and Hamburg.
Yeah.
It was very avant-garde and off-the-wall kind of freaky drag.
So not as the drag we know now, which is probably some would say with a lot of RuPaul, quite sanitised, very. This was just
freaky fabulousness, and it was before Roops, some of the looks that are on RuPaul and things like that. You had people doing that then, and it was and that inspired me in so many ways as well, because I loved seeing the different. And I think the biggest thing is just the creation of what makeup can do is the most spectacular thing. And it was I was learning and learning and learning and learning.
Okay, and so you again. Yeah. By osmosis, almost, it's going in you. It's just you're just and who at the time in Berlin? What was the most striking act? Can you remember, or someone?
Crimes. Oh man, gosh, I can't think of them all. There were so many fabulous artists. It's kind of, there were so many amazing artists, and it kind of. it was kind of one of them things that you couldn't define anybody because they were all different in one aspect.
Yeah.
You know, they were all some amazing, incredible artists. So, gosh, I mean, it was great as well because, of course, having known Klaus Nomi, who Klaus Nomi was, and things like that, and of course, and Klaus Nomi was initially German, but he went to America.
Right. Okay. And we were speaking earlier before the interview, and you mentioned Klaus Nomi, who and now he lives over here.
Well, no, he did. He was in America. He's passed away now.
Ah, right.
May he rest in peace. Yeah. So, but of course, Klaus Nomi was kind of an opera pop singer, and he was huge in the charts. Just Google Klaus Nomi.
Okay.
Please, people need to discover that this existed, because he was amazing. It was like a rock pop opera artist, and he was huge. And of course, Bowie kind of robbed a load of his looks.
Really? Because Bowie was towards the late 70s was in Germany, so but he was always keeping an eye on stuff like that.
Definitely,
so
and of course he did rob a lot of Klaus Nomi's kind of looks and things like that. So I mean, if you look at Klaus, you'll see, and of course, if you look at, there's some bits of the Pet Shop Boys, which if you see when the Pet Shop Boys were walking through the streets, things like that, he did similar things with a song called Simple Man, and things like that. So and it was fabulous. I learnt more about Klaus because he was very huge around Europe. He kind of mildly broke Britain.
Okay, and you knew him? You met him?
No, I never met him. I never met him, but of course I knew. I mean, Klaus had been to Germany literally a couple of months before I went out there. Right. Okay. So I was very, very peeved. I would have loved to have met Klaus.
Yes.
But of course, I never got the opportunity because he died.
Right. Okay.
Which was very sad.
Yeah.
So and of course, I mean, it was because they were running. Where Klaus Nomi and Joey Aries. Were running like the equivalent of. Of like our new romantic era here, they were doing that in New York. So, and of course, the first band to go to, everybody thinks it was Duran Duran, but it was Spandau Ballet that first went to New York. And of course, they were known as the Freaks and things like that, and they were interviewed by like Klaus and by things like that.
Really?
So
and Spandau got their look from the New York.
Well, they got variations of what they were doing from that.
Because, I was chatting to Ernesto from one of the early episodes, and he lived in London, and Kinky Galinky was a big thing in the mid to late 80s or even early 90s. That ran for a while.
It did.
And I think that, and so back to you. So you're in Germany. You're now coming up to the end of your years on the passport. So decision time. You have to go back, or do you renew or stay?
Well, no, I came back to England for a little bit.
Right. And how old are you at this point?
By this time I'm like 19, just coming up to 20-year-old. So
right, okay.
I mean, then I came back to England. I ended up meeting a friend.
Yeah.
This guy called Paul.
Okay.
Which I was in London at the time.
Yeah.
I met this guy called Paul who just become a great friend. He said he wanted to go to Amsterdam.
Right. Okay.
So of course I quite fancied the idea of that.
Yeah.
So I then ended up going out to Amsterdam with him.
Right.
And then ended up getting a job in It nightclub, which was the nightclub then, the biggest nightclub then. You had Exit, you had It, but it was like the nightclub in Amsterdam then.
So it wasn't a drag bar; it was a big nightclub.
It was a huge nightclub.
Okay.
Yeah. So I ended up working there and loving it.
Right. Okay.
And of course, Paul was with me, who I called Paul.
And would you be dressed working there? Yeah. And this was just a drag look you would have.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, I'd do different performances.
Okay.
Everything, so throughout the night. So, I mean, literally it'd be, and then of course it was like, you know, the DJ do his stuff, and then you go on, do a couple of numbers, then come off, then go back on. I had dancers, the works.
Wow.
You know, I did get myself a cocaine habit out there.
Right.
So,
okay. Yeah. Right. Okay.
That
was was that partly to keep your energy levels going?
Well, it was, because I tried it, and I must admit I loved it.
Yeah.
So I got myself my cocaine habit, and I wasn't eating. I wasn't, you know. You know, I mean, it got to a point where I looked amazing in makeup.
Right.
But I looked like Skeletor.
Right.
Without it.
Right. Okay.
You know, so it was down to my friend Paul and a friend I'd ended up meeting out there that used to come out there all the time, called John.
Right. Okay.
Right. Who was an older guy who was just an amazing man.
Yeah.
You know, I say that he's the father I never had.
Oh.
Yeah. So but of course John and Paul got me to basically get away from there. You know, I got off. John stuck me in a room in England, and
just cold turkey.
And I did that and whatever. And
was that because partly it was so freely available in Amsterdam?
It was, and I was earning that much money.
Yes,
I was earning so much money, so it was nothing.
Yeah,
it was nothing for me to spend loads of guilders at the time.
Yeah,
I mean. You know, it was
that freely available. So and it goes with the scene, doesn't it?
It did, and I don't regret it. I mean, you know I can't touch it now, because I know if I did, I would definitely, because I don't deny the fact I loved the stuff.
Yes, well, that's, you know, fair enough. That's being honest. So, but you got back to England and kind of dried out with that. And then. So you're turning 21 almost. So then that's a big sort of it's official.
So then, of course, I kind of stopped doing drag for a little while.
You could be you're just your normal male self. Okay.
So because at the end of the day I could live as me.
And how did that feel? Just at last,
it was great. I mean, it was, you know, my hair went short. It was bleach blonde. I looked a little bit like Jason Donovan on acid. You know what I mean? But it was fabulous.
Yes.
It was some great times. I then ended up literally. Going to drama classes, you name it, all sorts.
Okay.
So, you know, at Pineapple Studios.
Oh, right, okay.
So, you know,
now at this point you're already singing, so you've already got performance under your belt for so many years. So when you were going to drama classes, what were you looking to do to...
in order to go on and be a West End Wendy.
Okay, right, so you wanted to do the big West End shows. And did you do that?
I did,
you did?
yes.
Wow.
I did,
Which sort of shows were you in? Was this chorus line stuff?
Oh, please. That principal role, darling.
Principal, of course. Forget slap on the hand for me.
Please, I'm going to dare you. Never did ensemble.
So what was the lead role did you have?
I did Starlight Express.
Oh, wow. Well, I saw Starlight bloody Express when I was 14 at the Victoria Theatre.
Well, I was there.
You were probably... I probably shook your hand as you. You
wouldn't have shook my hand when I was flying around on the roller skates, because I couldn't have touched you.
Were you doing it with the Timothy Claypole, the guy who played Timothy Claypole in Rent-A-Ghost?
Yes.
Oh Christ, that's when I saw it. When I was, my lord! So it's like,
and of course Maury Richards was doing it. Then Maury Richards played, who initially were the Platters.
Right.
He was playing the voice of the Starlet and Papa.
Ah, right. Okay. Was there? Oh my. So you were probably, I probably saw you do, and you would, again, for people who've not seen Starlight Express, it's the Andrew Lloyd Webber musical with the roller skates, the trains, and
it's a little boy playing with his trains.
Yes.
But it's the most fabulous musical.
Well, the whole theatre had these runways around the theatre that you would roller skate, and you would come past it and sort of. So you had to learn to roller skate.
Yeah, you did. Well, you had skate school. So I mean, what you do once you got the role, they'd set you in skate school.
Wow.
So and of course you learnt to rollerboot. So and it was just it was fabulous because it was so, you literally had to know everyone and be comfortable with everyone, because when you were flying round, you literally could not afford to clip someone's wheel, because if you did, you'd fly over, because of course Rusty had to win.
Yes,
you know, Rusty had to win the race. Everything like that. Well, Papa initially had to win, but then Rusty, he then said to Rusty,
"You've got to.
You go in." So,
And would you have crashes? Would they happen?
oh gosh, yes, yeah.
And how would you then?
Yeah,
cover
the S bend.
Yeah,
There's a thing at the back where there was a thing at the back of the theatre,
Yeah.
right, and you had a big pillar, right, and it was like literally an S bend.
Yeah.
Right,
Hang
and
on. So you're going around the S bends.
yeah, going around the S bend, and what it was, I clipped grease balls, boot.
Right.
So he flew over me. Then Electra is coming at the back. Electra flies over, and then of course you've got Dinah and all sorts that are coming. You know, so I literally got ourselves up, and you know.
Wow.
But the thing is, Andrew was there at the time.
Oh no! Right,
and
right.
Andrew was in the sound box, and we were. Yeah, it was,
fuck.
shall we say?
Yeah.
Scared stiff that
yeah.
Andrew saw it,
Yeah.
but you know, so and he didn't, which was great because he was slightly tipsy then. So in them days.
And
so,
this was. Were you from the original cast?
No, I wasn't the original cast.
But
I went in there in 1992.
Oh right, 92.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh right, okay. Isn't it?
Yeah.
So because it ran for quite a while.
It did. It did one of the longest. One of the longest
How
running.
were you in? How long were you in it for then?
I did a year.
Wow.
As Rusty.
You were Rusty.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then went back and did a year as Electra.
Oh really?
It was a must to do Electra. It was the best entrance in the West End.
So
it had to be done.
It has, and so I suppose partly the fact you'd already done it
was
a massive because you didn't need to go to skate school, or you could pick it up.
Well, no, you did, because I was on blades, so as Electra.
Oh, really?
So I had to relearn blades,
so
how to use blades.
Because was it all originally roller skates? Or did
Well,
they
no, Electra's always been on blades.
She was blades.
Yeah,
was she?
yeah.
Right.
Electra was always kind of, you know.
Because she was modern.
She was the modern.
Of course.
So, and it was the best entrance in the West End, of course, when that great big ginormous stage spun round, and you had your armament trucks, you had you name it, you know, the smoking truck, you had everything, which all did the bit, and then that bit of in that fabulous big headdress and turning around, I am electric, feel the attraction, feel my magnetism, you will agree. It was a buzz.
Wow.
It was a buzz. It was it was better than an orgasm. It was, because it was the biggest stage in the West End then, the best stage in the West End, big glass thing spinning round, and you're there.
And how many performances is that a week?
8 shows a week.
8 shows a week.
8 shows a week, yeah.
And how much toll would that take on your body, on your sort of...
I was fit as anything.
Yeah.
I was fit as anything, you know.
Because you're obviously, it's a young guy or young person's game at that point.
Yeah.
So, and I take it when you're West End stage, that's it, you're up for it, you want to do it. So.
Definitely. I loved every minute of it. Absolutely spectacular. Just amazing times.
Wow.
It was.
That's that's incredible. And what did you do? What was the next show after that? Did you?
Well, I ended up doing. I did Cats.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Ben Mistopheles in Cats.
Oh,
I only
right.
did that for 6 months.
Right. Okay.
So you know, it was just one of them things I did. It was a 6-month contract for that, which was, you know, which.
And so when you're, so were you then? Shadowing to then take over the role. Yeah. So how does that? Do they then? Do you have to? Is there another cast you rehearse with to then blend you in?
Well, no, but you have rehearsals, non-stop rehearsals and things like that. So it's literally non-stop. I mean, should we say you eat, breathe, fart, you name it. That show which you're doing. That's
how
it.
long does it take to get? If you're doing it every day and you're being drilled in it,
it just goes in, and you know that's when it's been a discipline.
Yes.
For me, for a long time, of you know, if I'm creating a character, I create a character, and I literally.
Yeah. And are there any times when you would on stage you just forget something or a line?
Oh gosh,
does that happen?
Of course it does.
It's the things that terrifies me.
Yeah, of course it does. But you learn to cover. You learn to cover it, and that's the great thing about any performer.
How do you do? Can you remember a time when you went, "Oh fuck, it's gone," but you just warble something else?
Oh, there's been a couple of times. There's been a couple of times where you forgot words.
Yeah.
And I still do it now. I can be. I can be belting out a number, and I'll forget.
Really?
You know that it still happens, but you learn to cover.
You learn to cover because you just think. I know you see these shows. You just think these people are perfection. How do they do this every night? How do they remember every word? How do they?
But you learn. There are going to be times. There's going to be odd times where you end up screwing up slightly. You know what I mean?
And what about covering? Can you remember a time when an actor either didn't turn up on stage, forgot their cue, or can you remember?
Well, that's happened on a few occasions.
Can you remember any sort of a particular one? Is there a sort of?
No, I can't. I can't tell you that information.
Okay, fair enough.
You know,
I'm doing my Alan Partridge.
Out of respect for them particular artists.
No, we won't. Okay, but it does go on. Well, I think there's oh god, there's famous showbiz actor stories of I think one guy going off to a pub. He's not on till the very end,
and then getting extremely.
So, but okay, so you're doing Andrew Lloyd Webber musical,
which I thoroughly enjoyed.
And did you keep then doing?
Well, no, I ended up because I'd always loved magic, so so I ended up meeting. So we ended up getting together. I've always loved magic anyway.
Okay.
So I ended up then, basically. Learning magic galore, everything with him.
Really, you just went. Well, I'm going to learn magic now.
And then I become a member of the Magic Circle.
Okay,
right,
wow.
Which was one of my biggest pride and joys. And of course, I think my biggest pride and joy of that is being examined, because you have to get examined to get in the Magic Circle.
Oh, do you?
And Ali Bongo, which was Paul Daniels' magical advisor.
Oh, was he?
And Ali Bongo was a legend in his own right.
He was.
Yeah, and Ali Bongo examined me to get into the Magic Circle.
Did he?
So I was.
And when you say examine, they say, well, do this trick, do that.
Well,
trick.
no, you do basically your act.
You do your act in front of them.
Yeah, in front
of
an
audience.
Yeah.
Or no, just at a normal show.
Yeah, a normal show, or at the Magic Circle itself,
So what was your name as the magician then?
Yeah, we were Mirror Image.
Mirror Image. So you were a double act.
Yeah,
obviously.
Yeah, we become Mirror Image.
So it was two guys doing it.
Yeah, and we were the first male double act in Britain to do magic.
That's rare, isn't it? To get really. So
we were the first male double act in Britain to do magical illusions.
Wow.
So I mean, of course, you have Penn and Teller that come over here.
Of course.
Right? But they were American.
Right. Okay.
And there was a big thing that we kind of didn't like that they exposed at the time. They don't now, which is brilliant. But they kind of exposed their own illusions now, which is brilliant. Which ones they make.
Right.
But we kind of didn't like that. But of course we did.
Yeah.
I mean, we Mirror Image.
Yeah, and so you had to then become examined, and was that when you? I mean, I take it you could still go out and do a magic show and not be a member of the Magic Circle.
Yeah, you can.
But it was
nice to say, right?
I am affirmed of that.
MMC.
And you did you did this particular show in front of Ali Bongo, and then afterwards he comes and chats to you.
Well, and then I ended up I got in.
And did he say then?
No, he didn't. No.
You get a letter.
Yeah, got a letter, and you get your certificate, and it presented to you on the stage at the Magic Circle.
Oh, so you're invited. How did that feel once you?
It was brilliant because I was already an associate.
Yeah,
you're an associate before you're a member.
Right. Okay.
So of course to actually get that membership card and to get that certificate was, and signed by some legends. I mean, David Burglass, who was the original one of the original presidents, you name it. I mean, all signed it. I mean, Alan, you name. I mean, these are all legends of magic, which I don't know. Some people might not know of.
Yeah. I've heard some. And how long did you do Mirror Image for then?
We did it for a few years. A few years,
and would you do the Lucy Lush in the?
No. Lucy Lush had died at this, but not Luscious Lucy had died at this point.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So and of course you can't. There is a video on YouTube. There's a couple of videos on YouTube of Mirror Image.
Oh, right, okay, wonderful. So I'll check those out. So yes, if you're listening, YouTube, Mirror Image, go and have a look at those. Okay. And what year is that, roughly?
That round about 1995, 96.
Wow. And what sort of, were you doing lots of just up and down UK, lots of...
We were doing amazing events like the Black Cat Ball,
right? Okay.
Black Cat Ball, which took place at the took place at the Manchester Museum, at the London Museum and things like that.
So you were just getting all the big stuff.
I mean, and we were getting all that.
Yeah.
Getting all
And
that
what
stuff.
was the act was? You were just doing the big illusions.
Yeah, we're doing big illusions.
What was some of what? Just give us one example.
Well, with double vision, we had the guillotine. We had,
okay,
you know,
right.
I mean, you had the, daggers. You had, you name it. We're doing close-up magic. We're doing all sorts.
Sure.
We're doing various different things. Cards across. You name it. Everything.
And do you still do a bit of magic today? Or?
I did for a long time, but then, shall we just say, I lost the use of one of my hands of my left. I was left-handed for 39 years of my life, and then of course it got sliced open. So I ended up. I can't do close-up magic now
because you don't have the agility.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
So so I had to teach myself.
Right. Okay.
Excuse me. I had to teach myself to do everything right-handed instead of left-handed.
Really?
So,
oh my lord!
So,
after 39, 40 years of being left-handed, so you had to reteach yourself.
Yeah.
And so then you keep the magic, and then what happened?
Well, shall we just say my cabaret partner stole all my money?
Right. Fine. Okay. Right, that was good of him.
Yeah, which was my partner and my cabaret partner, we were a relationship as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Right, okay,
Yeah,
okay. So he decides to, I'm going to now just off-ski.
Yeah.
So were you coming to an actual end with the double act? Or
well, no, it could have gone on. We had, shall we just say we had, we were due to sign for a TV, our own TV show, prime time Sunday night it would have been.
Right.
We were due to sign literally after Christmas.
Yeah.
Right. Of course, I'd already said to him, look, the alcohol's got to go, because he was drinking a heck of a lot. Because of course we were there at tons of places, from TV stuff to all sorts, you name it. We were there, and of course free green rooms, booze. Yeah. He was necking it and drunk quite a lot.
Sure.
So I said the boozers had to go. So and of course I went away, because I did children's shows as well as a character called Mr. Mustard.
Oh right, okay.
Yeah.
Oh right.
So,
wow, so another string to the bow, right?
So,
Mr. Mustard. Wow.
Yeah.
And where did Mr. Mustard come from then?
Mr. Mustard, because children's shows, doing children's shows as well. It was fabulous.
Was it just, again, was that through a conversation?
Children's shows as well. I then learnt my trade,
really?
Everything like that.
Because it's a lot about, I suppose, in showbiz, it's being diversified.
Definitely.
Mr. Mustard was he a magic act?
He was, yeah.
So you just made a kid for right.
He did, kids magic, various things like that, balloon modelling, games, competitions, all sorts, entertain lots and lots of celebrities' children as Mr. M.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
right. Can we drop any of the celebrities? Don't have to.
The pleasure to entertain Simon Le Bon's children.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, and many, many others.
Wonderful.
Rick Astley's children and all sorts of various, as Mr. M.
Yes, so Mr. M's going. So then, you were asking him not to drink. You were about to sign for this TV show. What happened? He just
I got back off the cruise ship from doing Mr. M on the cruise ship.
Right. Okay.
And I'd been away there for basically a month on this cruise ship, doing a little mini cruise.
Sure.
Right, and then and of course I left all my cards at home, so it was a case of, he knew my PIN numbers. I was with him for 5.5 years. You assume you know somebody. So, and of course, while I was away, literally emptied
what you had.
My account, the works, everything.
And did then he leave the country?
Well, no. I came back.
Yeah.
I came back. He met me.
Yeah.
He met me at Southampton.
Yeah.
Right, when I come off the cruise ship.
Yeah. Right.
So then we went straight to Cumbria to my sisters.
Right. Okay.
All right. So for my nieces to wake up and whatever, and I already had a couple of grand on me, because I took a couple of grand with me, because you don't need anything when you're on a cruise ship.
Yeah. It's all expensive pay, isn't it?
So basically, then went straight up to Cumbria. I never checked my bank nor nothing.
Yeah.
So, and of course we drove up there, and then in the meantime he told me that for 3.5 years of our relationship he'd been cottaging, trolling,
right, okay,
you name it, going to saunas, everything, which I was like, it was that old additive. Well, I thought you were doing it bugger off.
Yeah,
I wasn't, you know what I mean? If I'm with somebody, I'm with them.
Exactly.
Full stop.
Of course.
You know, so, but then of course, so he went off on one and left. And that's when kind of I realised, and cut a long story short, I ended up checking my bank account, the works, everything, nothing in it. My cards, the lot, everything was all maxed up to heck.
Okay.
So, you know, so...
And so you obviously split with him.
Well, I ended up going... he ended up crashing his car. I got a phone call. He crashed his car on the way back. So he said he was here in Manchester.
Right.
At the time. So of course, it was a case of come to Manchester. Couldn't find him in Manchester. Phoned John, my best friend John. You know, he said come back. I went back, and of course he was at home, bit battered and bruised, and whatever, and all freaky and everything. And of course, this is a few days before New Year's Eve. So then he ends up pulls a knife out on me and says he's gonna slit my throat because I'm the devil and all sorts. And you know, so I just say, go ahead, go on, do it, go on, stick it in. You know what I mean? You know, and then he dropped it, and that's it. Went to my friend John's place. I told him what had happened. He then, you know, we set him up to bed to have a chill. He then tried to jump through the window, so I ran upstairs to stop him jumping through the window. Lord. So then he got me and tried to strangle me, and John punched him in the back to get it off. So it was we then got him committed.
Right. Okay.
And of course I found out all my money was gone at this point. I knew my money had gone, and the only one it could be was him. Right. So, but then when I went to a solicitor, the solicitor said, look, because he was put down as being a schizophrenic.
Right. Okay.
Right. So if I took him to court, that it would have been diminished responsibility.
Right. Okay.
So of course I had to sell my house, and I had a fabulous big house, and which I'd done up to the nines, which I adored, with my little, not a huge swimming pool, but a little swimming pool, the light, everything. It was it was in my dream place. It was in West Hampstead. I was where I wanted to be. I was, you know what I mean. So I sold that for less than it was worth to pay off a load of the debts and whatever, and you know, and then basically. I went back up to Barrow-in-Furness.
Right, okay.
For the worst 6 months of my life.
Right,
because I realised why.
Right.
Why I ran away. Because you still had Sissy and Ada on the corner go, it's one of them. He's one of them, you know. You know that, you know. The hand goes, teapot, short and stout, you know, that one, you know what I mean? So
you
it's
go back. Oh no!
It was that man. So I knew I had to get away. So then I decided to come back to Manchester, and that's when I wanted to resurrect Lush's Lucy.
Okay.
But then I ended up going to Morecambe.
Right. Okay.
Like with my sister. And. There was this bar in Morecambe, and there was this drag artist called Luscious Lucy.
Right, okay.
And she was diabolical. I'm sorry. She was 15,000 miles behind the song when she was miming. Right? She had tinfoil dresses on. It was, and I thought, let her keep it.
Yeah, right, okay.
Keep the name.
Yeah, right, okay.
It's soiled. That's it. So then I became Lucy Lush.
Okay.
That was, you know, so I thought, right, you know.
Rebirth.
Yeah, it was rebirth. And then, of course, I came back here to Manchester, and, of course, I started doing shows for George House Trust and things like that in order to get going. And, of course, and then, of course, you had the fabulous Petrified here, which ended up meeting.
Right, okay. I've not heard of Petrified.
You haven't?
No, I'm so I've got to do my homework.
Yes, please do your
Petrified.
Yeah, okay. Petrified was it. She did Lily and things like that.
Oh, really? Right, okay. She did tribute to Lily Savage.
And various. She was an amazing actor.
That's a great name, Petrified.
She was fabulous. Was Petrified.
Okay, all right. I'll have to. Is she still around?
No, she passed away a few years ago.
Oh, right, okay.
Rest her soul.
I'll see if I can find some pictures and we can.
Yeah, definitely.
And so. Lucy Lush is blushing and what sort of songs are you doing with that? Is it changed again?
Well, I mean everything from theatre songs to you name it to cheesy to you know, I kind of always put in my act. I like to put the cheesiest song that got ever created in my act.
Right, okay.
Which, because it always gets people up bouncing, and it's that song "I Will Survive."
Oh,
I always have, for some reason, I've always liked that song in my set, because the instant second you sing it, it's one of them songs that everybody stands up and starts dancing to.
But in a way, I think it's very synonymous with you, and that you have survived, the incredible journey you've gone, and we've just discussed from coming out of Barrenfurness, from escaping in the way that you did, and going to London, and with your partner there, and everything's going. You have kept surviving.
Yeah, definitely.
And so and you keep going from strength to strength, and it was wonderful to meet you when we did it at Sparkle, and you are an inspiration to a lot of people, and I love watching you on Facebook and everybody that you meet, and listen, I feel there's a whole nother episode going forward, because I think there's probably another show on looking at all the drag queens you've named today, and perhaps I'll go away, do a little bit of homework, and we can chat perhaps more about, because I think people are interested in the whole history of drag. So,
well, especially Manchester, you know, I mean, and really Manchester in a lot of ways, because Manchester has been one of the major jet setters for drag, and also what we've got to remember is our city also. All the major things have started from our city. Of course, over 50 years ago now, the Equality Act started here.
Okay,
you know, things like that, with 5 men meeting at Church House on Deansgate, which is a plaque recently been put up there a few years ago, because and it was Manchester Cathedral that has always been a fighter for LGBT rights, because it was put in the parish magazine for these men to meet. They were all scared stiff, and that's when like your LGF started and things like that from that.
So this was I don't know about this. So this was in Deansgate. There was 5. This is 50 years ago. There was 5 gay men that were frightened of meeting, but
they met in Church House, which you know,
and they were allowed to meet.
Yeah, they were allowed, because Manchester Cathedral was always a big advocate for helping.
Okay, right.
You know,
And there's a plaque on the wall.
There's a plaque on the wall on Deansgate, at Church House on Deansgate. You see the plaque up there. So it's a piece of our LGBT history.
Wow, that is, isn't it?
And it started. I mean, of course, and of course, here was where the Close 28 March was organised. It was started here. People come from all over England. For the Close 28 March, and being, you know.
Well, that's it. And aptly, Peterloo, the film's just come out, and I think that was after that particular incident, the massacre, it changed again. So Manchester,
Manchester's always been it's kind of done it, and then everything kind of other cities take on from there, and people always assume it's London, but a lot of major things happened here. Yes, of course, we've had a load of things that happen within the London area and whatever, but a lot happened here. A lot of the major marches and everything started in our fine city, Manchester, and that's what a lot of people don't realise. And I think that's the thing we've got to look at, is the fact that our city, and as much as, and I mean, because the car park's gone here in Manchester now.
I hear it's being.
And what I visualise happening is the village slowly leaving us, and I want to put out there that we have to fight. For what we have. And I know we've got equality now. I know we've got marriage. I know we've got everything. And yes, you're still going to always have your bigots, which are going to be, bigots, it doesn't matter what colour, creed or sexuality, they're going to be, you know, I mean, they're going to be idiots. So they're just uneducated pricks. All right, but we have to remember that we've still got stuff to fight for, because anybody out there, any young person out there coming up now and realising, right, we need this initial space. As much as we can go anywhere now. A lot of the time. Apart from the odd idiots, we can go on most places. Right? Like T-girls now go out in the Northern Quarter, everything like that. it's kind of free now.
Sure.
In that aspect, but we still need that initial space for anybody under the LGBT umbrella.
Yeah.
Right. That they can come here initially to get the confidence, and then realise they can go elsewhere. We've got to fight for what we have here.
Yeah, yeah.
And let's not get complacent
Yeah.
and say, oh well, we can go anywhere now. Let's fight for our space that we fought 4 years ago. We were there with the banners at the Love Rights marches. We were there at the at the Pride marches, the initial Pride marches, the Clause 28 marches. I'm glad we have what we have, but please don't get complacent.
Yeah.
Because we still need our safe space as much as we can go everywhere.
Yeah.
We still need it. Let's start standing up and fighting for it and stop taking the abuse that's happening in the village at the moment.
Right. And when you say you say abuse, as in, and I've not seen it, but this this is really homophobic. There's
a lot of muggings going on and things like that within the village at the
Yeah.
moment, and and you've got people there checking out gay men on their own or gay women on their own or things like that, and mugging them and battering them and things like that. And we need, and I'm going to say it, we need the police out there to start doing something, not talking about it, doing something, because it doesn't seem to be happening. There's too many muggings and too many beatings happening around the village now, and it's got to stop. Got it, good. We want it to stop.
Yeah, okay.
No.
Well, listen. Hopefully,
my rant there. I'm sorry.
That's absolutely well. Hopefully, listen, and people, anybody interested in that, then email us. Get in touch with Lucy Lush, and we got to absolutely because it's. And when I first came here, it's such a family atmosphere and a loving atmosphere. But essentially, it's about anybody LGBT. You feel safe.
Yeah.
I think that's what we
and
wanted.
I think, and you see, I get when I'm glittered up to the nines.
Yeah.
I can walk right through the town centre,
and
people will look, but nothing's said.
Yeah.
This day and age, the instant second I walk into the village, oh, look at that freak. And it's like, if you,
I know, if you're not happy, go somewhere else.
Leave your testosterone outside the gates when you come in. Anybody's welcome. I don't care whether you're from Mars with purple spots. Right? You're welcome. You're welcome here. Just leave your testosterone. Right? And also, if you get chatted up, if you're a straight man and you get chatted up by some queen, right? Take it as a bloody compliment.
Exactly.
I mean, just
most
don't,
straight men think they're a gift to God. It's like, you're not. It's just like, but if you are,
take it as a compliment. Don't get offended and start punching somebody because you're in the gay village. If I was in a straight venue, I wouldn't go and chat you up. So. You never know.
We never know. Listen, thank you.
Can I just say to everybody out there, be strong, be you, right? Be who you need to be, and don't let anybody put you down for who you are. Just be you and be strong. Good luck and glitter greetings to each and every one of you.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much for coming on today's show. Thank you. So a massive thank you to Lucy Lush again, finishing off 50 episodes of the Funny Peculiar podcast. Thank you to all my guests that have given their time to be interviewed. The show and the whole series wouldn't be complete without you. A massive thank you to everyone that's downloaded and have kept listening. So thank you from me, Jeff Downs, for listening, and hopefully we'll see you soon. Goodbye.